Welcome back. New this morning, China's Alibaba releasing a new version of its artificial intelligence model, and now it claims that it outperforms competitors such as DeepSeek and ChatGPT. U.S. officials are looking at the national security implications now of DeepSeek and whether intellectual property theft was involved. How did it get so strong so fast? Microsoft and OpenAI both reportedly investigating whether DeepSeek improperly obtained data last fall by a group linked to the Chinese startup. DeepSeek's terms of service show it collects and stores user data in China, sparking similar national security concerns, leading to the congressional crackdown of TikTok. Joining me now is Riot Platform's head of public policy and former special assistant to President Trump, Brian Morgenstern. Riot Platforms is a Bitcoin mining and digital infrastructure company. Brian, thanks so much for being here.
Great to be with you, Maria. Nice to see you.
I mean, my first instinct was after learning about DeepSeek was I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that it's this advanced, and I'm certainly not buying it that it spent $5.6 million to develop it. And now we have more pile-on from China with Alibaba. Your reaction?
Yeah, my reaction is there's no coincidence that this happened very shortly after President Trump announced a big $500 billion private sector investment in AI here in the United States. I also think that those numbers are ridiculous. I think they excluded prior research. I think they likely used other models and were able to sort of suck the knowledge out of those to advance themselves. But really, my reaction is twofold. Number one, look, the U.S. has to take this as a wake-up call. It is time for us to accelerate. Under the Biden administration for 4 years, it was this top-down command and control, regulate first, ask questions later, measure DEI metrics first, user experience and success and accuracy later. President Trump is saying, look, our opponents are competing with us whether we like it or not. It is time to unleash American industry. But with regard to these numbers, this really strikes me as a shot across the bow from China towards President Trump after his $500 billion Stargate announcement to say, we can do, anything you can do, we can do better. But there's no reason to trust these numbers that they're sending.
Yeah, I think that's all spot on. I want to get your take on why it is that we're constantly on defense when it comes to China. Why don't we go on offense and stop the intellectual property theft right now? I mean, China has been stealing intellectual property from America for decades. It's costing American businesses hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars every year. Why can't we stop it?
Well, look, that's what President Trump wants to do. I was at the Treasury Department in the White House when he was negotiating this trade deal with China, and that was, of course, a central piece of it. They have to treat American companies fairly. You cannot be requiring any market entrant into your country to just hand over all your IP and sign a JV agreement with the Chinese Communist Party. Excuse me. So these will be terms of any future trade agreement. I think President Trump is laser focused on that. I know he was for his first 4 years. I expect him to be for the next 4 years. Unfortunately, our other presidents have not been, but it would be great if he'll get back to that.
Well, there's also business. I mean, when is American business going to understand this and put a stop to it and stop putting up their flags in China to try to sell to the population there? You've got White House AI and crypto czar David Sacks saying that DeepSeek shows how the AI race will be very competitive, and that President Trump was right to rescind the Biden executive order, which hamstrung American AI companies without asking whether China would do the same, Brian. So how much of this advancement of DeepSeek from China is due to just bad policy mistakes from Joe Biden?
Well, I think it has to be considered. I think it has to be factored in. I mean, David Sacks has pointed out quite rightly, and I'm glad President Trump brought him in, that the Biden administration's instinct, like I said, was to regulate first and ask questions later. They put out this, 100-plus page executive order. They had meetings with Mark Andreessen, who reported out that their attitude was, we're going to control this market, not how can we help you accelerate to succeed and beat our adversaries. President Trump is taking the latter tack. He's saying, we have to win. What do you need from me? You'll get it. Because this is about how information is going to be consumed in the future. It's about how the economy is going to operate in the future. If the U.S. wants to lead, we have to unleash our private sector. So this complete shift in attitude and approach is exactly what we need right now.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that the U.S. Navy reportedly telling members of the Navy to avoid using DeepSeek over potential security and ethical concerns due to the origin and the usage by China. Meanwhile, OpenAI announced the launch of ChatGPT ChatGPT Gov, built specifically for U.S. government use. Brian, your thoughts on the Navy saying we don't want to touch DeepSeek? You know, what are the implications for people using DeepSeek? And what about now ChatGPT coming up with one specifically just for government use?
Yeah, so on the first point, actually David Sachs, the new AI and crypto czar, pointed out there is a company called Perplexity. There are others that you can use where you can access the DeepSeek search functions without your data being transmitted to China. So I think people should look at that. With regard to the U.S. government's version of ChatGPT, it seems that it is a separate version, similar to the enterprise version they use, where it is secured separately, and so it'll be able to protect our nation's secrets. So I'm hopeful that's true. Obviously, a great American company, Microsoft. Hopefully, we can trust them a lot better than a Chinese company that appears to be fudging some numbers, although it may have created a useful product. But hopefully, the U.S. will catch up fast, and we're going to win this race.
Well, let's talk about crypto here. Obviously, President Trump is real bullish on the crypto space. Prices dropping earlier this week after DeepSeek's disruption in technology stocks. Your outlook for crypto and the regulation that we are about to see come out of the Trump administration. I assume now that Scott Bessent has been confirmed as our nation's Treasury Secretary, perhaps we'll get more clarity on what the regulatory backdrop looks like.
I think that's right, Maria. And President Trump's executive order is very promising, doing a few things, setting up this working group of his appointees in government, his senior leaders, to help develop clear rules of the road for digital assets, to define securities and commodities and what's just a collectible, to look at stable coins, to look at a digital asset reserve, hopefully a Bitcoin strategic reserve. These are all, again, such a remarkable shift. Companies like ours in the Bitcoin space, for example, the Biden administration spent 4 years trying to put us all out of business. They were trying to debank us. They were trying to take away our energy access to electricity contracts. They were regulating by enforcement. It was completely top-down command and control. And now President Trump, again, is asking, what do you need from me to help us succeed? Because this really does seem like the economy of the future. So very excited with the new administration.
So where does the growth at your company come from in the coming 3 years then, Brian?
So data center infrastructure is going to be huge, whether it's Bitcoin mining or whether it's HPC and AI. This is something that's really important. Another one of President Trump's executive orders related to energy and getting us to be energy dominant. We need data center infrastructure. We need nuclear and nat gas. We need power and data centers. We will grow, we will thrive, and so will America.
All right, we'll leave it there, and we'll be watching. Brian, good to have you this morning. Thank you, sir.